Welcome to Skinner at Chalmers' Weekly Roast. Today, the rocks of our lives. A heartwarming tale of Superintendent Chalmers' secret hobby.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our new episode of Skinner at Chalmers' Weekly Roast, a podcast where only the steamiest topics are discussed. It's the 12th of February, and as always, I'm Superintendent Chalmers, and by my side is my good old friend, Principal Seymour Skinner. Welcome, Seymour. Nice to have you here.
Hello, Chalmers. Thank you for having me here again today. Like every week, I'm really looking forward to finding some time to chat again.
The joy is all mine. I hope our listeners out there are already just as excited about today's topic as we are.
I hope so, too. Speaking of which, what exactly is our theme for the week? Normally, we always do a bit of brainstorming before each episode, but unfortunately, we didn't manage it today due to time constraints.
Oh, yes, I realized you just got home from work and had rushed into the studio earlier.
Yes, today was a bit busier at work again. You know how it is. The school system and unpaid overtime. But yeah, no, I'm happy just to be here and relax a bit, chatting with you. Always nice.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, so I hope all the more that we'll have a nice chat today. Well, let me think about what happened this week.
Actually, I have an idea. Do you remember about a year ago? It was a summer's day, and as it always is, I invited you to dinner. Unfortunately, I made a little mistake in the kitchen, and well, the usual. The food burnt, the oven caught fire. You know how this story ends?
Seymour, we've known each other for many years now, and I've been invited to dinner at your place often enough. Yes, I know exactly how the day will end. So what's your point?
Exactly, my point is your reaction. I was so perplexed.
What was my reaction? Oh dear, we've already experienced so many bizarre events. Give me a hand.
Well, my house was on fire, and your only reaction when we were outside in safety was, I love collecting rocks. I was so confused and didn't realize what was going on.
Yes, I remember. Indeed, it came out a bit strange, but I wanted to lighten the mood.
I see. So, what did you mean by I love collecting rocks? It was so random.
Well, that's exactly what I meant with it. I love collecting rocks. Even as a child, I loved collecting stones. There were often shimmering stones lying on the ground, and as children we joked that they were really valuable. We called such stones fool's gold or cat gold.
Oh, I see. That's a nice story. But why did you bring it up in that situation? It was so out of place.
Well, Seymour, I was just trying to make you feel better. You know how you can be a bit hard on yourself when things don't go as planned. I thought that if I made you laugh, it would help you relax a bit.
I see. That's very sweet of you, Chalmers. Thank you for always being there for me.
It's nothing, old friend.
But now you've caught me with the topic. Do you still collect stones today? If so, which ones do you collect? Where do you look for them, and what do you do with them?
Well, I don't collect them as much as I used to, but I still do it from time to time. I mostly look for them during my walks or when I'm on vacation, and I keep them in a small box at home. I don't really have any special reason for doing it. I just enjoy the process of searching and finding them.
That's nice. I always thought you were some kind of rock hunter or something. But now I know better. So, do you have any favorite stones?
Well, I do have a few favorites. There's this one stone I found many years ago. It's quite small and smooth, almost like a river stone. And then there's another one found during a hike in the mountains. It's more of an agate. I just like the way they feel in my hand and the memories they evoke.
That's lovely. I never thought you had such a soft side, Chalmers. But then again, I guess we all have our secrets. It's always nice to learn something new about our friends, isn't it? So, tell me more about these rocks. Do you have any special way of identifying them or anything like that?
Oh, yes. Actually, I've learned quite a bit about rocks over the years. It started as a hobby, but it's become more of a passion. There are several ways to identify rocks, but the most basic one is by their color, texture, and hardness. For example, igneous rocks are usually dark in color with a rough texture and are very hard.
Sedimentary rocks are lighter in color, have a more layered or banded appearance, and can be quite soft. And then there are metamorphic rocks, which are formed under high pressure and temperature, and can exhibit a variety of colors and textures, ranging from smooth to very coarse. In addition to that, there are also specific types of rocks within each category. For instance, within igneous rocks, you have basalt, which is dark and fine grained, and granite, which is light colored and coarse grained. Within sedimentary rocks, you have sandstone, which is made up of sand-sized particles, and limestone, which is made up of calcium carbonate. And within metamorphic rocks, you have marble, which is formed from limestone under high pressure, and slate, which is formed from shale.
Wow, that's a lot to swallow for now. Very interesting. So how do you actually identify them?
Well, as for identifying specific types of rocks, there are several resources available, including field guides, online databases, and even mobile apps. Some people also collect rock samples and take them to experts or rock clubs for identification. It's a fascinating hobby, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in learning more about geology.
That sounds like a fulfilling hobby indeed, Chalmers. You mentioned earlier that rocks can also tell us stories about Earth's history. Can you elaborate on this? How do they serve as time capsules for geological events?
Absolutely. Rocks are essentially solidified pieces of the Earth's crust and mantle, which means they contain a wealth of information about our planet's past. For instance, igneous rocks like basalt can tell us about ancient volcanic eruptions or the formation of ocean floors through seafloor spreading. Sedimentary rocks such as sandstone preserve evidence of long-gone river systems and ancient environments where they were deposited. Fossils found in sedimentary rocks also provide a window into Earth's history, revealing how life evolved over time. Metamorphic rocks can tell us about the geological processes that occurred deep within the Earth, such as tectonic plate collisions or mountain-building events.
That is fascinating. It's incredible to think that these seemingly inanimate objects hold so much information and have witnessed billions of years of our planet's history. I can understand why this subject has captivated you for such a long time, Chalmers.
Yes, it truly is remarkable. And the more we learn about rocks and minerals, the better we become at understanding Earth's geological processes and even predicting future events. It's an ongoing scientific pursuit that has captivated generations of geologists and amateur rock enthusiasts alike.
I can see why you would be drawn to this field as well, given your analytical mindset. You mentioned earlier that there are various resources for identifying rocks. Are there any specific books or websites that you'd recommend for someone like me who wants to learn more about stones and geology?
Absolutely. There are several excellent books on the subject, such as Rocks and Minerals, which offers a comprehensive introduction to identifying rocks based on their physical properties. For websites, I'd suggest starting with reputable organizations like the U.S. Geological Survey or the British Geological Survey, both of which have extensive resources for learning about geology and rock identification. Additionally, online databases such as Mindat.org can help you identify specific minerals based on their chemical composition, crystal structure, and other characteristics.
Thank you so much for the recommendations, Chalmers. I'll definitely check them out to learn more about this fascinating subject. And who knows, maybe one day we could go on a little rock hunting adventure together.
That sounds like fun, Seymour. Let's plan something for the next time our schedules align. In the meantime, keep an eye out during your walks or vacations. You might find yourself drawn to this hobby as well.
I will do that. And speaking of which, have you ever used any rock identification apps? How accurate are they?
Yes, there are several popular ones available on smartphones They usually use a combination of image recognition and user input to help identify rocks based on their color, texture, hardness, etc. While these apps can be helpful in providing initial guidance, it's essential to remember that they might not always provide 100 accurate results. It's still beneficial for users to learn the basics of rock identification and consult other resources like field guides or experts when necessary.
That makes sense. I guess there's no substitute for hands-on experience and knowledge, right?
Exactly. But these apps can be a great starting point to spark curiosity and encourage people to learn more about the fascinating world of geology. Oh, and before I forget, there's also something like this for plants. Desens has asked me to tell our listeners that plant lovers should use the app Flora Incognita. It's free and is developed by a university in his federal state in Germany. The same applies here, not 100 perfect, but it has helped many biology students at the university during their studies.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. I never thought about it that way. But yes, to summarize briefly, you're saying that even though you don't collect rocks as much anymore, you still have an interest in them.
Well, yes, Seymour. I suppose you could say that. It's just something I enjoy doing in my free time. And it's always nice to be able to share that interest with others who are passionate about the same thing.
That's true. It's always good to have a hobby or two.
Indeed. That reminds me, while we're talking about it, I'd like to briefly mention the fire again. It's just a thought that's still stuck in my head from our conversation at the beginning of our today's podcast episode.
Oh, of course. It was quite an event, wasn't it?
It was, and I just remember by now, I saw 2 children from our school standing nearby. They were handing out thank you notes to the firefighters, expressing their gratitude for saving their homes.
There was definitely a risk that the fire could spread from your house to the neighbor's house.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't see that. Were they from our class?
Yes, they were, and their gesture really touched my heart. It reminded me of why I love working with young people so much. They have this innocence and purity about them, and they're not afraid to show their gratitude and appreciation for the smallest things.
That's true. And it's moments like these that make our community special. It's not just about the big events or the grand gestures. It's about the everyday acts of kindness and compassion that make a difference in people's lives.
Exactly, Seymour. And I think that's something we should always remember, both in our personal lives and in our work as educators. So let's keep spreading the love and the kindness, shall we?
Absolutely, Chalmers. Let's do that. And who knows? Maybe next time I burn dinner, you can distract me with a story about your latest rock collection.
Deal. And remember, Seymour, even if the food is burnt, it's still better than those rocks I used to collect as a child.
Oh, you're opening a big can of worms there? I'm sure we could discuss this point for a long time, at least from your perspective.
Well, I admit, if you keep promising me something wonderful for dinner and then serve me random things that you usually see outside the window and think, oh yes, I have to cook that now, then I am indeed surprised.
Believe me, I always take the greatest care with my dishes and above all, flavor.
That's right. I've often been surprised in a positive way, but let's not delve too deeply into other conversations about your meals.
Right. My stomach is starting to growl. I just got home from work and I really should eat something before I get a headache.
Who? And with that, folks, stay tuned for more steamed topics. Until next time, this is Superintendent Chalmers and Principal Skinner signing off. Have a nice day. Hey.
Farewell. See you soon.
I love collecting rocks.